Hello, my kiddos. Last time we found out that Gandalf is alive. So, and Gimli and Aragorn and Legolas have been telling him what they know about what's happened so far, and Gandalf has been telling them about what happened so far. So we pick it up there. Yes, together we will follow you, said Legolas. But first, it would ease my heart, Gandalf, to hear what befell you in Moria. Will you not tell us? Can you not stay even to tell your friends how you were delivered? I have stayed already too long, answered Gandalf. Time is short, but if there were a year to spend, I would not tell you all. Then tell us what you will, and time allows, said Gimli. Come, Gandalf, tell us how you fared with the Balrog. Name him not, said Gandalf, and for a moment it seemed that a cloud of pain passed over his face, and he sat silent, looking old as death. Long time I fell, he said at last, slowly, as if thinking back with difficulty. Long I fell, and he fell with me. His fire was about me. I was burned. Then we plunged into deep water, and all was dark. Cold it was as the tide of death. Almost it froze my heart. Deep is the abyss that is spanned by Durin's bane, and none has measured it, said Gimli. Yet it has a bottom, beyond light and knowledge, said Gandalf. Thither I came at last, to the uttermost foundations of stone. He was with me still. His fire was quenched, but now he was a thing of slime, stronger than a strangling snake. We fought far under the living earth, where time is not counted. Ever he clutched me, and ever I hewed him, till at last he fled into the dark tunnels. They were not made by Durin's folk, Gimli, son of Gloin. Far, far below the deepest delvings of the dwarves, the world is gnawed by nameless things. Even Sauron knows them not. They are older than he. Now I have walked there, but I will bring no report to darken the light of day. In that despair my enemy was my only hope, and I pursued him, clutching at his heel. Thus he brought me back at last to the secret ways of Khazad-dûm. Too well he knew them all. Ever up now we went, until we came to the endless stair. Long has that been lost, said Gimli. Many have said that it was never made save in legend, but others say that it was destroyed. It was made, and it had not been destroyed, said Gandalf. From the lowest dungeon to the highest peak it climbed, ascending in unbroken spiral in many thousand steps, until it issued at last in Durin's tower, carved in the living rock of Zirak-Zigil, the pinnacle of the Silvertine. There upon Celebdil was a lonely window in the snow, and before it lay a narrow space, a dizzy ire about the mists of the world. The sun shone fiercely there, but all below was trapped in cloud. Out he sprang, and even as I came behind, he burst into new flame. There was none to see, or perhaps in after ages songs would still be sung of the battle of the peak. Suddenly Gandalf laughed. But what would they say in song? Those that looked up from afar thought that the mountain was crowned with storm. Thunder they heard, and lightning, they said, smoke upon Celebdil, and leaped back broken into the tongues of fire. Is not that enough? A great smoke arose about us, vapor and steam. Ice fell like rain. I threw down my enemy, and he fell from the high place and broke the mountainside where he smote it in his ruin. Then darkness took me, and I strayed out of thought and time, and I wandered far on roads that I will not tell. Naked I was sent back, for a brief time, until my task is done, and naked I lay upon the mountain top. The tower behind was crumbled into dust, the window gone, the ruined stair was choked with burned and broken stone. I was alone, forgotten, without escape upon the hard horn of the world. There I lay staring upward, while the stars wheeled over, and each day was as long as a life age of the earth. Faint to my ears came the gathered rumor of all lands, the springing and the dying, the song and the weeping, and the slow, everlasting groan of overburdened stone. And so at last Gwaihir, the Wind Lord, found me again, and he took me up and bore me away. Never am I fated to be your burden, friend at need, I said. A burden you have been, he answered, but not so now. Light as a swan's feather in my claw you are. The sun shines through you. Indeed, I do not think you need me any more. Were I to let you fall, you would float upon the wind. Do not let me fall, I gasped, for I felt life in me again. Bear me to Lothlorien. That indeed is the command of the Lady Galadriel, who sent me to look for you, he answered. Thus it was that I came to Caras Galadon, and found you but lately gone. I tarried there in the ageless time of that land where days bring healing, not decay. Healing I found, and I was clothed in white. Counsel I gave and counsel took. Thence by strange roads I came, and messages I bring to some of you. To Aragorn I was bidden to say this. Where now are the Dunedain, Elessar, Elessar? Why do thy kinsfolk wander afar? Near is the hour when the lost should come forth, and the grey company ride from the north. But dark is the path appointed for thee. The dead watch the road that leads to the sea. To Legolas she sent this word. Legolas Greenleaf, long under tree, in joy thou hast lived, beware of the sea. If thou hearest the cry of the gull on the shore, thy heart shall then rest in the forest no more. Gandalf fell silent and shut his eyes. Then, she sent me no message? Said Gimli, and bent his head. Dark are her words, said Legolas, and little do they mean to those that receive them. That is no comfort, said Gimli. What then, said Legolas, would you have her speak openly of your death? Yes, if she had naught else to say. What is that? Said Gandalf, opening his eyes. Yes, I think I can guess what her words may mean. Your pardon, Gimli, I was pondering the message once again, but indeed she sent words to you, and neither dark nor sad. To Gimli, son of Gloin, she said, give his lady's greeting, Lockbearer, wherever thou goest, my thought goes with thee. But have a care to lay thine axe to the right tree. In happy hour you have returned to us, Gandalf, cried the dwarf, capering as he sang loudly in the strange dwarf tongue. Come, come, he shouted, swinging his axe. Since Gandalf's head is now sacred, let us find one that is right to cleave. Cleave means to split. That will not be far to seek, said Gandalf, rising from his seat. Come, we have spent all the time that is allowed to a meeting of parted friends. Now there is need of haste. He wrapped himself again in his old tattered cloak and led the way. Following him, they descended quickly from the high shelf and made their way back through the forest, down the bank of the Entwash. They spoke no more words until they stood again upon the grass beyond the eaves of Fangorn. There was no sign of their horses to be seen. They have not returned, said Legolas. It will be a weary walk. I shall not walk. Time presses, said Gandalf. Then lifting up his head, he gave a long whistle. So clear and piercing was the note that the others stood amazed to hear such a sound come from those old bearded lips. 3 times he whistled, and then, faint and far off, it seemed to them that they heard the whinny of a horse borne up from the plains upon the eastern wind. They waited, wondering. Before long there came the sound of hoofs, at first hardly more than a tremor of the ground perceptible only to Aragorn as he lay upon the grass, then growing steadily louder and clearer to a quick beat. There is more than one horse coming, said Aragorn. Certainly, said Gandalf. We are too great a burden for one. There are 3, said Legolas, gazing out over the plain. See how they run. There is Hasufel, and there is my friend Arod beside him. But there is another that strides ahead, a very great horse. I have not seen his like before. Nor will you again, said Gandalf. That is Shadowfax. He is the chief of the Meras, lord of horses, and not even Theoden, king of Rohan, has ever looked on a better. Does he not shine like silver and run as smoothly as a swift stream? He has come for me, the horse of the White Rider. We are going to battle together. Even as the old wizard spoke, the great horse came striding up the slope toward them. His coat was glistening and his mane flowing in the wind of his speed. The two others followed, now far behind. As soon as Shadowfax saw Gandalf, he checked his pace and whinnied loudly. Then, trotting gently forward, he stooped his proud head and muzzled his great nostrils against the old man's neck. Gandalf caressed him. It is a long way from Rivendell, my friend, he said, but you are wise and swift and come at need. Far let us ride now together, and part not in this world again. Soon the other horses came up and stood quietly by, as if awaiting orders. We go at once to Meduseld, the hall of your master Theoden, said Gandalf, addressing them gravely. They bowed their heads. Time presses, so with your leave, my friends, we will ride. We beg you to use all the speed that you can. Hasufel shall bear Aragorn, and Arod Legolas. I will set Gimli before me, and by his leave Shadowfax shall bear us both. We will wait now only to drink a little. Now I understand a part of last night's riddle, said Legolas as he sprang lightly upon Arod's back. Whether they fled at first in fear or not, our horses met Shadowfax, their chieftain, and greeted him with joy. Did you know that he was at hand, Gandalf? Yes, I knew, said the wizard. I bent my thought upon him, bidding him to make haste, for yesterday he was far away in the south of this land. Swiftly may he bear me back again. Gandalf spoke now to Shadowfax, and the horse set off at a good pace, yet not beyond the measure of the others. After a while, he turned suddenly, and choosing a place where the banks were lower, he waded the river and then led them away due south into a flat land, treeless and wide. The wind went like gray waves through the endless miles of grass. There was no sign of road or track, but Shadowfax did not stay or falter. He is steering a straight course now for the halls of Theoden, under the slopes of the White Mountain, said Gandalf. It will be quicker so. The ground is firmer in the Eastamnet, where the chief northward track lies, across the river, but Shadowfax knows the way through every fen and hollow. For many hours they rode on through the meads and riverlands. Often the grass was so high that it reached above the knees of the riders, and their steeds seemed to be swimming in a gray-green sea. They came upon many hidden pools and broad acres of sedge waving above wet and treacherous bogs, but Shadowfax found the way, and the other horses followed in his swath. Slowly the sun fell from the sky down into the west. Looking out over the great plain, far away, the riders saw it for a moment like a red fire sinking into the grass. Low upon the edge of sight, shoulders the mountains glinted red upon either side. A smoke seemed to rise up and darken the sun's disk to the hue of blood, as if it had kindled the grass as it passed down under the rim of the earth. There lies the Gap of Rohan, said Gandalf. It is now almost due west of us. That way lies Isengard. I see great smoke, said Legolas. What may that be? Battle and war, said Gandalf. Ride on. End of chapter 5. And now, chapter 6. The King of the Golden Hall. They rode on through sunset and slow dusk and gathering night. When at last they halted and dismounted, even Aragorn was stiff and weary. Gandalf only allowed them a few hours' rest. Legolas and Gimli slept, and Aragorn lay flat, stretched upon his back, but Gandalf stood, leaning on his staff, gazing into the darkness east and west. All was silent, and there was no sign or sound of living thing. The night was barred with long clouds, fleeting on a chill wind. When they rose again, under the cold moon they went on once more, as swift as by the light of day. Hours passed, and still they rode on. Gimli nodded and would have fallen from his seat if Gandalf had not clutched and shaken him. Hasufel and Arod, weary but proud, followed their tireless leader, a gray shadow before them, hardly to be seen. The miles went by. The waxing moon sank into the cloudy west. A bitter chill came into the air. Slowly in the east the dark faded to a cold gray. Red shafts of light leapt above the black walls of Emyn Muil, far away upon their left. Dawn came clear and bright. The wind swept across their path, rushing through the bent grasses. Suddenly Shadowfax stood still and neighed. Gandalf pointed ahead. "Look!" he cried, and they lifted their tired eyes. Before them stood the mountains of the south, white-tipped and streaked with black. The grasslands rolled against the hills that clustered at their feet and flowed up into many valleys still dim and dark, untouched by the light of dawn, winding their way into the heart of the great mountains. Immediately before the travelers, the widest of the glens opened like a long gulf among the hills. Far inward they glimpsed a tumbled mountain mass with one tall peak. At the mouth of the vale there stood, like a sentinel, a lonely height. About its feet there flowed, as a thread of silver, the stream that issued from the dale. Upon its brow they caught, still far away, a light in the rising sun, a glimmer of gold. "Speak, Legolas," said Gandalf. "Tell us what you see there before us." Legolas gazed ahead, shading his eyes from the level shafts of the new risen sun. "I see a white stream that comes down from the snows," he said. "Where it issues from the shadow of the vale, a green hill rises upon the east. A dike and mighty wall and thorny fence encircle it. Within there rise the roofs of houses, and in the midst, set upon a green terrace, there stands aloft a great hall of men, and it seems to my eyes that it is thatched with gold. The light of it shines far over the land. Golden too are the posts of its doors. There men in bright mail stand, but all else within the courts are yet asleep." "Edoras, those courts are called," said Gandalf, "and Meduseld is that golden hall. There dwells Theoden, son of Thengel, king of the Mark of Rohan. We are come with the rising of the day. Now the road lies plain to see before us, but we must ride more warily, for war is abroad, and the Rohirrim, the horse lords, do not sleep, even if it seems so from far away. Draw no weapon, speak no haughty word, I counsel you all, until we are come before Theoden's seat." The morning was bright and clear about them, and birds were singing when the travelers came to the stream. It ran down swiftly into the plain, and beyond the feet of the hills turned across their path in a wide bend, flowing away east to feed the Entwash far off in its reed-choked beds. The land was green. In the west, meads, and along the grassy borders of the stream grew many willow trees. Already in this southern land, they were blushing red at their fingertips, feeling the approaching of spring. Over the stream there was a ford between low banks, much trampled by the passage of horses. The travelers passed over and came upon a wide, rutted track leading towards the uplands. At the foot of the walled hill, the way ran under the shadow of many mounds, high and green. Upon their western sides, the grass is white as with a drifted snow. Small flowers sprang there like countless stars amid the turf. "Look," said Gandalf, "how fair are the bright eyes of the grass. Evermind they are called. Cymbeline in the land of men, for they blossom in all the seasons of the year, and grow where dead men rest. Behold, we are come to the great barrows where the sires of Theoden sleep." "7 mounds upon the left and 9 upon the right," said Aragorn. "Many long lives of men it is since the Golden Hall was built." 500 times have the red leaves fallen in Mirkwood in my home since then," said Legolas, "and but a little while does that seem to us." But to the riders of the mark it seems so long ago, said Aragorn, that the raising of this house is but a memory of song, and the years before are lost in the mist of time. Now they call this land their home, their own, and their speech is sundered from their northern kin. Then he began to chant softly in a slow tongue unknown to the elf and the dwarf, yet they listened, for there was a strong music in it. That, I guess, is the language of the Rohirrim, said Legolas, for it is like to this land itself, rich and rolling in part, and else hard and stern in the mountains. But I cannot guess what it means, save that it is laden with the sadness of mortal men. It runs in the common speech, said Aragorn, as near as I can make it. It runs thus in the common speech, said Aragorn, as near as I can make it. Where now the horse and the rider? Where is the horn that was blowing? Where is the helm and the hauberk, and the bright hair flowing? Where is the hand of the harpstring, and the red leaf fire glowing? Where is the spring and the harvest and the tall corn growing? They have passed like rain on the mountain, like a wind in the meadow. The days have gone down in the west behind the hills into shadow. Who shall gather the smoke of the dead wood burning, or behold the flowing years from the sea returning? All right, we're going to stop there, kiddos. I love you always and forever, no matter what.